Namaste and welcome, beloved mighty companion.
Namaste, bienvenidos, amados compañeros.
To tonight's topic is, what does it mean to have commitment to God and His kingdom? What does that really mean?
El tema de hoy es ¿qué significa estar comprometido con el reino de los cielos? Reino de Dios.
Yeah, what Jesus has been talking to me about is
Lo que Jesús me ha estado hablando es
that God's commitment is 100% to us, 100%. Like there's no squeak of anything other than His commitment to us.
el compromiso de Dios con nosotros es 100%.
And how the play of consciousness is to push that out of awareness that there is only God's commitment to us. That's all there is.
Y lo que hace el juego de la conciencia es empujar eso.
God doesn't know like a part way.
No, Dios no sabe
part of the way. He doesn't know how to go part of the way. He only goes all the way.
Él no sabe ir parte del camino, él va todo el camino.
It's 100%. Like he doesn't give us a piece of the pie. He gives the whole thing.
Él no nos da un pedazo de torta, él nos da la torta completa.
And to have that bird land in the heart of what God's total commitment is to us.
Y dejar que ese pájaro llegue a nuestro corazón porque es 100% compromiso de Dios con nosotros.
Is so profound and deeply.
Es muy profundo.
You know, it comes to the point of no words.
Llega al punto de que no hay palabras.
To see how the play in consciousness is to deny how that we are the commitment, we're it.
Como el juego de la conciencia no quiere ver que nosotros somos el compromiso.
You know, God doesn't have like some little extra world that He created on Mars, you know.
Y Dios no tiene un pedazo de mundo creado en Marte.
Like, you know, we like watching programs where they're flying all over the universe and exploring the universe.
Y vemos programas donde están explorando el universo.
But it doesn't matter where you are, whether you're in a spaceship traveling across the universe or you're here right now. God's commitment is full and complete right here, right now.
Y así estés pasando de un planeta a otro en una nave, el compromiso de Dios es completo, es 100%.
Like through the holy instant, we can glance and see that there's no limit to the light. The light has no limitation.
Y ver que la luz no tiene ninguna limitación.
You know, God, there's such an idea, you know, God doesn't create things partially.
Dios no crea cosas parciales.
He's like, creation is like ongoing completion and celebration of all that is.
Y la creación es la compleción de todo lo que es.
Yet the play of consciousness is to be so committed to anything other than what God has given.
El juego de la conciencia es el juego de todo lo demás que Dios no nos ha dado.
Because the way the world can end in happy laughter is seeing that there isn't anything other than totality, full on, exactly as it is as it is.
Y para que el mundo termine en el sueño feliz, tenemos que dar cuenta que todo es lo que es.
And to cease being so committed to denying that.
Y say again?
To cease being so committed in the play of consciousness to deny the fullness of the kingdom of heaven here.
Todo el juego de la conciencia es negar que esto es así. Que el reino de los cielos está aquí.
See, this is the thing that that the ego-based consciousness does not want to hear.
El ego no quiere, es una cosa que no quiere escuchar.
It wants to like play in the little dream of partial scraps.
Porque el ego quiere jugar en el sueño de las cosas parciales.
And to go, oh my God, Jesus is going to ask me something to do something I don't want to do.
Como que Jesús me va a pedir algo que no quiero hacer.
Until the mind just flips into the recognition of the gift and the honor, if it is, to be asked to serve in this way.
Y mientras la mente da la vuelta a darse cuenta de que las partes,
to serve in this way as he
servir
calls you,
a lo que él te llame,
to give, to accept that assignment,
para aceptar esa asignación,
and to just stay with it. Like I've said, what the message was for me to stay with it like a dog on a bone.
Y es mantenerse en la función como el perro en el hueso.
You stand, and Muji would say, you stand into the fire of truth.
Y te tienes que, como dice Muji, tienes que estarte en el fuego del fire of the truth.
Stand into the fire of truth.
Mantenerse en el fuego de la verdad.
Because it will burn what's not true.
Porque él va a quemar lo que no es verdad.
Yeah, it's just one thought of how Jesus's commitment to us is 100% too.
El compromiso de Jesús con nosotros es 100%.
Like the beauty of that. But until you turn into him and go, okay, what now, Jesus? What now, Jesus? What now, Jesus?
Pero mientras tú no entres en eso y le comiences a preguntar, ¿qué Jesús? ¿Ahora qué? ¿Ahora qué?
It is impossible to see that he is our best interest.
Es imposible ver que él es nuestro mejor interés. Tiene nuestro mejor interés.
His interest in us is the only interest worth having.
El interés que él tiene por nosotros es nuestro único interés.
Because in the play of consciousness, the play is going to be so sure, you're sure he's taking you to hell.
Porque en el juego de la conciencia tú estás seguro que te está llevando al infierno.
Because that's how consciousness plays, to say, you know, with God, everything, anything getting closer to the truth of to see God's commitment to us is 100%.
Cualquier cosa que nos muestre que el compromiso de Dios es 100%.
The ego is going to scream and clamor and
y el ego va a gritar,
gnash its teeth. Do you know that in Spanish? The gnashing of teeth. That's in the Bible. I think we're.
Hay algo, es una frase de la Biblia, pero no la sé.
You know, it's some kind of when there's some kind of objection. I don't know. It's a picture of you just grinding your teeth.
Cuando hay una objeción, como que tú le sacas los dientes. Le muestras los
you
dientes.
know, it's just another symbol of the objection to divinity.
Es otro símbolo de la objeción a la divinidad.
And so, as I've talked about this, it's just so many times in the play, it's like, Jesus, what are you doing to, you know?
Como Jesús, ¿qué me estás haciendo?
It takes commitment to you.
Tienes que tener compromiso contigo mismo.
It takes commitment to everything you are to wash out all the commitments to keeping what you're not.
Tienes que estar comprometida con lo que eres para que te limpien lo que no eres.
Because that's what the ego is, the commitment to keep the idea of what you are not.
Porque eso es lo que hace el ego, quitarte lo que tú eres.
Is to keep every idea that would deny the Father's commitment is 100%.
Es quitarte que el Padre está 100% comprometido contigo.
To hide from that celebration that it's 100, it's like not 99.999%.
No es que sea un compromiso del 99,999.
Percentage, you know, that's how we treat God.
Eso es engañar a Dios.
Like he's like some kind of partial deal going on there. He's,
Como un trato parcial con él.
it's like, well, God, you gave everything to everybody, quote unquote, except for me.
Te doy todo, entre comillas, pero excepto a mí.
When it's a desire for an experience, it's a commitment to have an experience of feeling limited.
Y el deseo de una experiencia es el deseo de sentirnos limitados.
You spend 1 second with that thought.
Si tú pasas un segundo con ese pensamiento,
And it's actually beyond thought.
más allá del pensamiento, que es...
It's the admission, it's ceasing to deny the 100% the commitment of God to us, to me, to the totality.
Es dejar de negar que el compromiso de Dios es 100%.
So that you can experience by direct experience that everything he says in that Course in Miracles is true.
Y así por experiencia directa vas a darte cuenta que todo lo que él dice en el Curso de Milagros es cierto.
No exceptions.
Sin excepciones.
And that's what we're fighting. That's what the play, not we, the play in consciousness, the decision to deny is not to see that he's given all already.
Y el juego de la conciencia lo que hace es negar que él nos ha dado todo, absolutamente todo, ya.
And that if we follow this one,
y si seguimos a este,
this one's marching, the play has to be that way. It has to play like, okay, this one's going to march me right into hell.
Y el juego pareciera que me lleva Jesús me está llevando a la marcha al infierno.
And so it takes absolute commitment. Like the ego does not know what commitment is.
Y se necesita absoluto compromiso, o el compromiso que el ego no sabe qué es.
I'm going to commit myself to a job.
I'm
going to commit, the ego says, okay, I'm going to commit myself to a job.
El ego dice, me voy a comprometer con un trabajo.
It'll commit itself to an insane asylum. I will commit myself to an insane asylum. I'm going to be committed.
Me voy a comprometer en algo.
Well, we committed ourselves to the insane asylum of the world. That's what we committed ourselves to.
Nos hemos comprometido a...
We have committed ourselves to an insane asylum of the world.
Para un mundo loco. Nos hemos comprometido con un mundo loco.
The ego is committed to not see that God's kingdom infinitely is here.
El compromiso del ego es no ver que el cielo, el reino de Dios está aquí.
That is why we must answer yes unequivocally to the last unanswered question.
Por eso es que tenemos que decirle sí a la última pregunta no contestada.
Because that is 100% committed to ourselves as we are, exactly the way God made us.
Porque eso es 100% compromiso con nosotros como Dios nos creó.
To accept whatever is given by him.
Y aceptar todo lo que Dios nos ha dado.
To say yes to whatever is given by him for the healing of the mind.
Decirle sí a todo lo que él nos da para la sanación de la mente.
That it's an interlocking chain of miracles.
Hay una energía bloqueando los milagros.
I'm asking him about cobwebs of iron. It's going to make me cry. Cobwebs. That's what cobwebs are, like what spider webs, spiders weaving.
Sí,
those
como la red de las hormigas, de las hormigas, sí.
So spiders will weave a web.
Ellas hacen una red.
And you know how when you go into a haunted house, you got those little webs everywhere? Those are cobwebs.
que tú ves en las casas por todo lado.
Just blowing my doors off with this. Jesus. Because he talked about cobwebs of steel in the Urtext. He talks about cobwebs of steel.
Él habla de esto en el Urtext, en el Urtext. ¿Cómo se dice?
Cobwebs of steel.
Sí, Urtext.
Okay, and how, you know, it's just all the miracles, I'm asking, coming together to that interlocking so that not even a little squeak of a thought that the Father could ever do anything, be committed to anything other than our happiness.
Y cómo los milagros vienen a mostrarnos que el compromiso de Dios es con nuestra felicidad.
To finally admit the impossibility that it is not possible to have a Father that would be committed to anything other than our happiness.
Que no hay un padre que no esté, nuestro padre está comprometido con nuestra felicidad.
But as long as there's one of these desires, this little scrap of desire hanging out in the subconscious mind that is unhealed.
Pero desde que haya un deseo en la mente no sanado,
you will feel like the Father's not committed to you as a symbol of you not being committed to find out who you are.
Vas a sentir que tu padre no está comprometido contigo como un símbolo de que tú no estás comprometido.
The only way is to get all the scraps is to follow Jesus.
La única forma de lograr esto es seguir a Jesús.
There are many ways, as he said, he's not the only way.
Él no es la única camino, dice él mismo.
See, many spiritual traditions are there for the healing of the mind.
Hay muchas tradiciones que trabajan la sanación de la mente.
But the abject power of having the one who knows that symbol in consciousness show you where every scrap is, what an offer.
Pero es una muy buena oferta tener a alguien que sabe dónde está lo que se tiene que sanar.
And then it's a commitment to ourselves not to leave not one little ooch of a scratch unforgiven.
Y nuestro compromiso debe ser no dejar ni una raya de algo que no se haya sanado.
And we talked about it here many times, how until you start sitting down with him on chapter 20, to really start looking at those denials, you won't see that you're the play of totally relishing the dream.
Y si comienzas a mirar los deseos del capítulo 20 y vas con
until you start looking deeply with him,
hasta que no mires directamente con él profundamente,
as directed by him,
dirigida directamente por él,
to go deep into the mind to find where the denials are,
para ir profundamente con él a las negaciones.
There just isn't another way to get every scrap.
Y no hay otra manera de sanar esas
as far
heridas.
As the speed.
Y con la velocidad que se logra.
There are many spiritual traditions and they're all very beautiful.
Y hay muchas tradiciones espirituales muy hermosas todas.
And again, Jesus is not interested in having like, I'm the lock on how to wake up.
Y Jesús obviamente no está interesado diciendo, mira, yo soy el que tengo la llave de salida.
Because it's a simple thing, because we're powerful, infinite beings, to go, I'm not going to sleep like this anymore and deny myself.
Aunque él es un símbolo, las partes.
I'm not going to sleep like this and deny myself.
Y no voy a seguir dormido y negarme a mí mismo.
So there's always the power to choose for God in completion.
Nosotros siempre tenemos el poder de elegir a Dios en la compleción.
Yet that it's like the desire, that hunger for something other than abstract light,
Y debe haber hambre por la luz abstracta,
that relishing of the experience of not being pure abstract light.
que disfruta no ser la luz abstracta.
Those denials float below the level of awareness.
Esas negaciones salen a flote.
So the consistent experience of peace, of love, of union with the Father,
esa perfecta unión con el Padre,
is not a consistent experience.
No es una consistente experiencia.
And they're like these little pockets of belief that the body has to get ill.
Por ejemplo, están los bolsillos que tenemos donde dice que el cuerpo tiene que ser sanado.
And that pain cannot be transcended.
Que el dolor no puede ser trascendido.
And that is truly a deep, deep gift of A Course in Miracles.
Y eso es un verdadero regalo en el Curso de Milagros.
Because Jesus' direct teaching from that cross was that pain could be transcended.
Porque Jesús muestra en la cruz cómo el dolor se puede trascender.
That this is a concept, pain's actually a concept in the mind.
Porque el dolor es un concepto en la mente.
I just asked Jesus, is it miracle constipation? Yes.
Y eso es una estreñimiento de milagros. Y Jesús dice, le estoy preguntando y Jesús dice sí.
So if the call of the heart is not to have the slightest thought,
si el llamado de tu corazón es no tener un mínimo pensamiento,
that God's commitment to you that is not 100%,
que el compromiso de Dios no es 100%,
then hang out with Jesus and let him show you where the scraps are, where you don't believe God has given you everything.
Y entonces trabajas con Jesús para que Él te muestre dónde estás negando que el compromiso de Dios sea 100%.
Where you're sure that if you follow him, he's going to lead you right into hell.
Porque es seguro que si lo seguimos a Él nos va a llevar
right into hell. The belief that he's leading you into hell.
Porque aunque creas que Él te está llevando al infierno.
So ultimately, the commitment to God and his kingdom is commitment to ourselves, everything that he's given us.
El compromiso con el reino de Dios es el compromiso con nosotros mismos y aceptar que Él nos está dando todo.
And then ceasing to be committed to everything other than that.
Y dejar de estar comprometidos con cualquier otra cosa que no sea eso.
And that part of that is he teach you about commitment through your mighty companions.
Él te enseña compromiso a través de tus compañeros poderosos.
And I understand the play because that's how it plays.
Y yo entiendo el juego porque así es como juega.
But the gold mine that he's put into chapter 20 for all the course students, for me.
Pero el objetivo del capítulo 20
he's put just a gold mine. He's just handed us the whole kingdom in that chapter 20.
Y está todo el reino en el capítulo 20.
Because it establishes the relationship. If you spend time with your mighty companion going through chapter 20, it establishes you to establish that deep relationship with hearing his voice.
Porque cuando te comprometes a trabajar con tus compañeros en el capítulo 20, estás comprometido a escuchar su voz.
And really helping to have the dialogue with him to show how to go into the subconscious mind and release those denials specifically.
Y trabajar con él para que te muestre cómo liberar estas negaciones profundas de la mente.
See, but the ego doesn't want to do that. It wants to do something else other than spend 1 hour a day with Jesus, with a mighty companion, even beginning to look to see how many denials there are.
Y el ego va a tratar de de que no tengas este tiempo para trabajar con tu compañero y ver dónde están esas negaciones.
I'm too busy,
Estoy demasiado ocupado,
got a life,
tengo,
gotta get a life, I got
tengo
my life to worry
tengo,
about, my
tengo
work.
una vida por la cual preocuparme.
I'm asking him directly, this is a specific assignment from him for course students.
Esta es una asignación de él para los estudiantes de un curso Milagros.
Because he wrote the course, we got to
Porque
talk
él
to him.
escribió el curso y podemos hablar con él.
You know, we got to talk to him.
Tenemos que hablar con él.
We have to look in the chapter 20 to see all the reasons why we don't want to talk to him.
Y tenemos que ver en el capítulo 20 todas las razones por las que no queremos hablar con él.
And really to see, and so many others have said this, and thank you for it. You have no idea how many times you will have to say no to the ego.
Y le doy gracias a todos los que me han dicho que hay muchas veces que tenemos que decirle no al ego, y son muchas veces las que hay que hacerlo.
Because you don't see at the same time how much you want the ego.
Porque en un principio no te das cuenta cuánto quieres al ego.
That it's a desired experience and relish. There's a little devil.
Que es una experiencia deseada y que hay un diablito ahí.
Loving hell down there.
Amando el infierno.
Until when he takes you down and you start seeing the little horns pop out and go, holy smokes, Jesus, I want this more. I am more committed to this than I'm committed to the kingdom of heaven.
Más que cuando comienzas a ver este diablito que le salen los cachos, comienzas a darte cuenta que estás más comprometido con el infierno.
You can ask your brothers, isn't that a profound discovery when you go down there and he shows you the devil's horn pop out?
Y le preguntamos a los compañeros, ¿no es un gran descubrimiento ir y encontrar al diablito
and you look down there
que
and
les revientan los cachos?
It's like, oh my God, I want this more than heaven. I really do. I really do. I don't want to give it up.
Y comienzas a decir, quiero esto más que al cielo y no quiero renunciar a esto.
But it's a happy discovery at the end of the day.
Pero es un descubrimiento feliz al final del día.
Because as soon as you see what you've been committed to,
porque apenas te des cuenta a qué has estado comprometido,
rather than committed to him, give your all to him.
En lugar de estar comprometido con él,
even then you're going to feel like that's not enough.
Vas a sentir que no es suficiente.
Because there's scraps of that desire to deny still in there.
Porque todavía hay deseos de negarlo a él.
Until you see you give nothing, God's given you everything.
Cuando te das cuenta, no, tú no tienes que dar nada, Dios lo da todo.
Yeah, he's talking about it again. It just humbles me.
Esto es muy humilde para mí.
Yeah, we get the 100% commitment by God,
tenemos el 100%
in fullness.
De compromiso con Dios al 100%.
May ask what he wants me to say about it.
Estoy preguntándole.
Basically, there isn't anything else except God's 100% commitment.
No hay nada más que el compromiso de Dios con nosotros al 100%.
That's why we hang out with him, because he's going to show us where.
Por eso estoy ando con él, porque él nos va a mostrar.
Let me ask if it's okay to talk about this.
Le estoy preguntando si está bien hablar de esto.
So, we can glance and see that the holy instance here
Pues nos podemos dar cuenta que el instante santo está aquí.
It's so unwanted in the
Pero
play of
eso,
consciousness.
pero en
It's
el
like,
juego de la conciencia es algo no querido.
it's like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, there's a light here.
Eso es interesante, sí, la luz está aquí. Sí.
And it's described as, you know, everything that the scriptures write about God can instantaneously be seen in the holy instant.
The scriptures,
Everything that scriptures, all the scriptures, Hinduism, mystical descriptions, Sufism, it doesn't matter. They all describe the holy instant.
que todas las filosofías describen el instante santo. El hinduismo, cada una de ellas lo describe.
Infinite, unchanging,
Es infinito, no cambia,
undying,
no muere.
cannot die. But it's like a passing kind of recognition and then
Pero es como un reconocimiento
because of the subconscious relishing of something other than absolute reality.
porque la conciencia disfruta algo que no es la realidad.
So he's making it so simple for us in the course.
Él lo está haciendo muy simple para nosotros en el curso.
Let me show you where you're committed to something other than absolute reality.
Y nos muestra dónde estamos comprometidos a algo que no es la realidad.
Let me show you the desires below your level of awareness.
Déjame, te muestro los deseos en tu nivel de subconsciencia.
For an experience that will deny that abstract reality is all there is.
Donde negamos que solo la abstracta realidad es lo que es.
He in the ego's world, he's been talking, and it's just, oh my God, it's so profound.
En el juego del ego, en el mundo del ego,
the ego uses the word commitment as an action verb. I am committed to you.
El compromiso lo usa como un verbo de acción. Estoy comprometido contigo.
See, Jesus, we're going to talk about, we talked about honesty in the world and then honesty of God, totally different.
Estamos hablando de la honestidad del mundo y la honestidad de Dios.
Now we're going to talk about commitment of the world.
Y vamos a hablar del compromiso del mundo
and commitment of God.
Y el compromiso de Dios.
Okay, commitment of God is what is.
El compromiso de Dios es lo que es.
Commitment of God is heaven.
El compromiso de Dios es el cielo.
Supreme. That is the only commitment God makes, is to our supreme happiness. That's it.
El compromiso de Dios es la suprema felicidad, es todo.
Commitment is what is.
El compromiso es lo que es.
It's not, you know, we're so used to commitment being cause and effect. You know, I'm committed to doing this now to get this in the future.
Estamos acostumbrados al compromiso de causa y efecto. Yo hago esto y me comprometo con hacer esto para obtener esto.
I'm committing to a new job because
yo estoy comprometido con un nuevo trabajo porque
I'm committing to a new boyfriend because
yo estoy comprometido con un nuevo novio porque
none of it is bad. You know, none of it's bad until none of it's bad or good until you see the commitment of God is beyond all of that.
Esto no es ni bueno ni malo, pero cuando te das cuenta que más allá de este compromiso del mundo está el compromiso de Dios, con Dios.
God doesn't have an if-then statement. If this happens, then this happens.
Dios no tiene esta frase, si pasa esto, pasa lo otro.
You do this and I'll give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven.
Tú haces esto y yo te doy el reino de los cielos.
You know, St. Peter's standing at the gate and he's got the checklist for you, and then you can get into heaven.
San Pedro no tiene una lista donde revisa y chequea para si puedes ir al cielo.
God's commitment to us is you're it now.
El compromiso de Dios con nosotros es ahora.
He doesn't change his mind. It's like he doesn't go
Eh,
back and forth about what commitment
él,
is.
él no cambia de mentalidad, no cambia de opinión.
You know, ego starts out, okay, I'm going to be committed to going to the kindergarten.
Y es como yo, el ego es, yo estoy comprometido a ir al jardín.
You know, it has different ways of the ego's idea of what commitment is.
Las ideas del ego, tiene muchas ideas del ego de lo que es el compromiso.
So then for a time, Jesus is going to use that and say, you need to commit to me and following me.
Y por un tiempo Jesús va a decir, te vas a comprometer conmigo y me vas a seguir.
I mean, he was not kidding when he says, sell everything you have and follow me.
Él no estaba haciendo un chiste cuando dijo, deja todo y sígueme.
What that means is you give over everything that you think you own.
Y lo que quiere decir esto es que tú dejas todo lo que crees que eres dueño.
As soon as you think you own something, you're already dead in the mind.
Cuando crees que eres dueño de algo, ya estás muerto en la mente.
That would be to deny the Father's will.
Eso sería negar la voluntad del Padre.
I mean, you know, it's not like, oh my God, Jesus is going to take away everything I own and I have to give it to the church and whatever. Even
no se trata de que sea que Jesús me diga, entrega todo a la iglesia o...
As he says in a new covenant, you can give away everything you own and still have poverty of spirit.
Tú puedes entregar todo y puedes seguir aún siendo pobre espíritu.
You follow him with respect to every single nickel.
Y tú lo vas a seguir por every single
nickel, every dime, every little piece of coin.
Okay, por cada lo vas a seguir sin dudar.
Every peso,
por cada peso, por cada centavo.
You put everything under his guidance.
Tú le vas a entregar todo a su guía.
And he may say, you go give that away.
Y quizá él diga, entrégalo todo.
And if he tells you that, then you do it.
Y entonces si él te dice eso, tú lo haces.
Because our function is to follow him as the leader of the atonement.
Porque nuestra función es seguirlo a él como el líder de la expiación.
Until it's seen that nothing in this world is more important than the Father's commitment to us, which is already here.
Porque no hay más compromiso, no hay nada más que el compromiso de Dios que está aquí.
So he turns the commitment to the ego thought system, he turns it toward the commitment for God and his kingdom.
Y convierte el compromiso del mundo con el compromiso con Dios y su reino.
And just like God's commitment to us is 100%, our commitment to God has to be 100%. So just like our commitment,
nuestro compromiso,
okay, God's commitment to us is 100%, and then our commitment to him has to be 100%.
El compromiso de Dios con nosotros es 100% y el compromiso nuestro con él debe ser también 100%.
Until the mind turns in, the decision is made in mind to check off the last unanswered question.
Y eso nos va a llevar a contestar la última pregunta no contestada.
It's like a switch goes on and you might scream and yell, but you know where you're headed.
Sorry?
The switch goes on where you check off that last box and you said, I am not going to waver from the last unanswered question.
Como, no vas a dudar de contestar la última pregunta.
That there's nothing more important to me than saying yes to the last unanswered question.
Que no hay nada más importante que decirle sí a la última pregunta no contestada.
Am I willing to see
Estoy dispuesta a ver
what's true because it's been denied?
lo que es la verdad porque la he negado?
Am I willing to look at every single denial that the Father is here?
Voy a sorry, say again.
Am I willing to look at every single denial that the Father is here?
Estoy dispuesto a ver cada negación de que el Padre está aquí
And be committed to going until every single scrap has been
y
purified.
el compromiso hasta que el último rasguño sea sanado.
And he would tell me that, you know, he'd say, you're really tolerating this. It's like, who, me?
Y él me dice, eres muy tolerante con esto. Y yo digo, ¿quién, yo?
Face of innocence.
En la cara de inocencia.
It takes real it takes a commitment.
Realmente esto exige compromiso.
Because the ego is such a sneaky little play. We relish this little sneaky play with ourselves of avoidance of divine light.
Porque al ego le encanta negar.
We love that play, you know,
encanta,
the consciousness does. Once you see it,
la conciencia le encanta negar
see,
esto.
it's nothing. Like Muji would say, it's nothing, nothing, nothing.
Es como dice Muji, es nada, nada, nada.
But you see that it's available to everyone without limit.
Pero está disponible para todos sin ningún límite.
So the only question, will you commit to yourself and unequivocally say yes to the last unanswered question?
El tema es, ¿estás comprometido contigo mismo y estás dispuesto a contestar la última pregunta no contestada?
And be more determined than you've ever been.
Y tienes que tener determinación.
Because it will take that. It'll take that because of the determination in the opposite direction to dive right off the swan dive into the hell.
Porque
because there's such a commitment to diving into hell, we've got to reverse the commitment.
Porque hemos tenido mucho compromiso para lanzarnos en la burbuja y en el infierno y ahora necesitamos compromiso para salir.
And you'll see that consistently with the beings and the reflections in consciousness that are in recognition of God's commitment. Okay, I'll put it that way.
Esto es el reconocimiento del compromiso de Dios.
Those reflections have made a direct point of looking at everything.
Esta refleja que el querer mirar, looking
at everything with Jesus.
Mirar todo con Jesús.
They've made 100% commitment to that.
Tenemos que estar 100% comprometidos con eso.
No matter what it takes.
No importa lo que cueste.
You can ask them because we can all talk. It's not something special.
Ustedes pueden preguntarle, eso no es nada especial.
Jesus, does it take that level of commitment?
Jesús, ¿se requiere ese nivel de compromiso?
You're really committing to yourself.
Es compromiso con nosotros mismos.
Yeah. The ego's going to go, you know, that something's going to be taken away, or
el ego va a decir, no, me van a quitar algo.
It's going to be sure that Jesus is sending it right into marching into hell.
Estoy seguro que Jesús me está llevando en una marcha para el infierno.
So we need the mighties to help with the clarity and be willing to take clarity on these assignments.
Y por eso necesitamos a los compañeros para clarificar las asignaciones.
He is really encouraging course students to follow what he says in A Course in Miracles.
Porque Jesús está invitando a los estudiantes a que sigan lo que dice el curso.
Join with your brother to see what's true.
Únete con tu hermano para ver lo que es la verdad,
not to talk about the course.
no para hablar del curso.
Okay, it's not a discussion about the course. It
No es
is
una discusión acerca del curso.
go with your brother to look directly in the mind and where love is being denied.
Y ve directamente con tu compañero en la mente a ver dónde estás negando.
Join with your brother to hear my guidance
Únete con tu hermano para escuchar mi guía
and see that there is nothing in this world that's more valuable than this looking.
y ver que no hay nada más valioso en el mundo que esta mirada.
This is commitment to yourself,
Eso es compromiso con uno mismo,
exactly as God made you.
exactamente como Dios te hizo.
And not to delay. The ego loves that. It's going to delay.
Y no seguir retrasando, porque al ego le encanta
You know,
retrasar.
sorry, I can't do this.
Lo siento, no puedo hacer esto.
This is just an example, but because I have a pet and then I can't follow Jesus.
Y esto es un ejemplo. Tengo una mascota y no puedo por eso seguir a Jesús.
I mean, we love our, but you know, yes, Jesus has nothing against pets.
Jesús no tiene nada en contra de las mascotas.
But we have to see what we're choosing, who's choosing that.
Pero tenemos que ver quién está escogiendo eso.
I mean, we absolutely have our little Silencio here. We absolutely love him. He's so
tenemos
helpful.
aquí a nuestro pequeño Silencio y lo amamos y es muy útil.
But you have to let everything, including Silencio or anything else, be used the way Jesus needs it to be used, rather as an excuse to deny looking.
Pero debemos dejar que Jesús use esto y no como una negación para no mirar.
God's only commitment to us is
El compromiso de Dios
This
solo
is-
con nosotros.
sing like a cricket for no other reason.
No hay otra razón.
Happiness doesn't have a reason for being happiness.
La felicidad no tiene una razón para ser feliz.
Love doesn't have a reason for being love. It just
El
is.
amor no necesita una razón para ser el amor.
I need you nothing.
No necesito nada.
And so then you can say that and
Y si tú puedes decir eso,
have it celebrate everything. And then the ego goes, well, but Jesus, you said I don't have to do anything. And then the ego will use that to avoid following.
y dice, pero tú no tienes que hacer nada, dice el ego, pero entonces eso lo usa el ego para negar el seguirlo.
But the one who believes it's a person believes in doing. And so Jesus is going to use doing for the undoing.
Hay personas que Jesús va a utilizar el hacer para el deshacer.
To see where love is denied by given assignments.
Para ver cómo el amor es negado cuando nos dan una asignación.
So this is the honesty of God that we need to see in order to
Esta es la honestidad de Dios para ver,
fulfill our role in the atonement.
para cumplir nuestra función en la expiación.
Is to see when you're denying guidance from Him,
Cuando estás negando la guía de Él,
that just means there is something that you are unwilling to look at in the mind, a grievance that you're holding on to.
y hay entonces resentimientos que estás guardando.
Because his number one instruction is peace now.
Porque su mayor instrucción es la paz ahora.
He's not given an assignment so you can have peace in the future. He knows there's no future.
Él no te está dando una asignación para que tengas la paz en el futuro.
he knows you believe in the future, so he's going to use one assignment to show where you believe in a future, and that something bad's going to happen.
Él sabe que tú crees en el futuro, entonces vas a usar la asignación para use the assignment
to show you where you do believe you're a doer.
Donde te va a mostrar cómo crees que tú eres el hacedor.
To show you where when one little thought of doing something is going to make you pissed off or upset or
cuando solo un pensamiento de tienes que hacer esto te va a molestar, te va a incomodar.
Or hide in a closet.
O te vas a esconder en el closet.
And not follow, because then the ego says, well, yeah, I don't want to do that, you know.
Y el ego va a decir, no quiero hacer esto.
But see, that's why honesty of God is so essential. If you really want honesty of God,
por eso es tan esencial la honestidad de Dios. ¿Quieres la honestidad de Dios?
If your greatest desire is the kingdom of heaven,
si tu mayor deseo es el reino de los cielos,
then you're going to jump in and you're going to go with the mighty companion to get the absolute truth of the absolute honesty of God about whatever is arising in the mind.
Vas a lanzarte con un compañero a mirar lo que esté surgiendo en la mente.
See, what the ego does is here comes, you know, it's kind of going on its happy way, and here comes Jesus says, okay, here's your guidance. And then the ego goes, ping, oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go do over here something that I think looks more spiritual and better for me.
Y el ego va a tratar de escribir a Jesús y decir, venga, yo voy a hacer otra cosa que es más espiritual para mí.
So it's really important to see that that is indulging in weakness.
Y tenemos que ver que eso es ser indulgente y elegir la debilidad.
To do that, you know, and then the ego will go, well, it'll say things like, oh, I can do that right where I am. Anywhere I am, I can see Jesus.
Y no importa porque donde quiera que esté va a estar Jesús.
You could, but Jesus is telling you directly, it's not the most helpful thing.
Y tú puedes, pero él te está diciendo eso no es lo más útil.
What's most helpful is hear what his guidance is and follow it.
Y esto es lo que es una guía y hay que seguir.
That's commitment.
Eso es compromiso.
That's the kind of commitment that's needed to be made.
Esa es la clase de compromiso que se tiene que hacer.
100% following that voice.
Seguir 100% su voz.
And to look at everything that he shows in the mind.
Y mirar todo lo que él nos muestra en la mente.
I mean, he was even showing me when I was actually going to course groups, and that was not in guidance. That's opening.
Incluso él me mostró cómo yo iba a algunos grupos del curso y eso no estaba en guía.
It really looked like a great idea at the time, but it wasn't guidance.
En ese momento era como la gran idea, pero no estaba en guía.
That applies to everything. That applies to a retreat.
Eso puede pasar también
Spiritual
con un
retreat.
retiro espiritual.
And want to really be educated by Jesus, have him show you where in your life you've not followed guidance.
Y una buena forma es mirar con Jesús que
So-
no ha sido guiado en tu vida.
I'm asking because it's been a great learning tool here.
Y yo le pregunto porque es una gran lección aprender esto.
It's like then any memory that arises, first of all, I ask him, is that coming from him? Is that most helpful to look at right now?
Incluso cualquier memoria que surge, le pregunto, ¿es útil que lo veamos ahora?
Because consciousness loves to have all these memories and these pictures, and we start falling into them and following them around.
Y porque luego le gustan estas imágenes, entonces como para estar
So
dando vueltas.
if it's not coming up in guidance from him, then I just drop, and I ask him, can I drop it?
Y yo le pregunto a él, si no viene en guía de él, entonces yo simplemente le pregunto y las tiro.
So then if he says it, like I said, if I used to say this at first, he'd say that and I could still hear, oh, I want to hang on to that.
Y en un principio decía, quiero mantenerla.
But you commit to following him, and if he says drop it, you drop it.
Pero cuando te comprometes con él, si él te dice, bótala, la botas.
But then if he's showing me another memory, is that from you, Jesus? I ask him, was I in guidance then?
A veces me llega otra memoria, entonces yo le pregunto si está en guía.
and you'll see, then you can learn so much about how the patterns are of staying in the play and denying love. If he's guiding you to look at those things and seeing if there's anything that needs to be released.
Y para ver qué se tiene que liberar de la mente.
That's real commitment to ourselves to clear
Eso es
everything.
compromiso con nosotros para aclarar todo.
Don't keep any of those little private thoughts in there.
No tener ningún pensamiento privado.
And you can ask him too. Let him tell you. You don't know what your private thoughts are. I can tell you 100% you do not.
Tú no sabes qué son tus pensamientos privados. Esto, les puedo decir que ustedes no saben.
He's told you what they are because they're all, the private thoughts are in this book.
Porque los pensamientos privados todos están en este libro.
So the power of being committed to him is that he'll show you which ones to look at which time, that you still hold below the level of awareness to clear.
Lo que hacemos es que dejamos que él nos muestre cuáles tenemos que aclarar de nuestro nivel subconsciente.
And that's really commitment to the kingdom of heaven.
Y eso es compromiso con el reino de los cielos.
Follow Jesus.
Seguir a Jesús.
Join with your brother.
Unirse con su hermano.
To look and clear all the desires that's given by him.
Y clarificar los deseos que él nos va a dar. Until
you see that God doesn't have another commitment other than supreme happiness. That's it.
Para hasta que nos demos cuenta que Dios no tiene otro compromiso que la suprema felicidad.
He doesn't have anything other in his little, in his vest pocket, hidden in his pocket. What else you got in there, God?
Y él lo tiene en su mejor bolsillo.
All that's in his pocket is infinite happiness.
Todo lo que tiene en su bolsillo es infinita felicidad.
That's commitment to God and his kingdom. I'm going to find that out, and I don't care what it takes.
Eso es compromiso con el reino de los cielos. Voy a seguir, no me importa lo que me requiere.
My life is given for this purpose, to see if every single word in A Course in Miracles is true.
Mi compromiso es ver que todo lo que está dicho en el curso es cierto.
And then he'll show you how much you really don't want to know.
Y él te va a mostrar cuánto no quieres saber eso.
And then you can laugh with him.
Y después te puedes reír.
Because you can see how wrong you are. You have a total opportunity to.
Y te das cuenta de lo equivocado que estabas.
I'm wrong again, Jesus.
Y otra vez estoy equivocada, Jesús.
Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, brothers.
Gracias,
we love
compañeros. You. Gracias, los amamos.
Go for God.
Vamos por Dios.